So we're at Stillwater, upstairs at the Providore. We're with Johnny McCoy, who is the lunch chef at Stillwater, and he's going to make me my first bread and butter pudding I've had in years, and the first one he's made, well, probably the fourth one he's made.
The fourth one I've made.
His whole life.
Yeah.
This
and
will
the
be good.
third one I not nailed, so let's make another good one.
Rightio, what do we do?
Well, basically what we got to do is make a little bit of a custard.
So custard is egg yolks,
Exactly. So
a bit of cream and milk.
I'm going to put some egg yolks in here. I've got 4 egg yolks there.
So is this something that would sit on the menu at lunchtime here at Stillwater?
This would probably be a special.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the sort of thing
Johnny's
we
special.
might do as a special. All right, so we've got egg yolks in, some milk, and it's just a matter of putting it all in there. That's what I love about this. A little bit of cream. I've barely even measured this stuff.
So no whisking the egg yolks with sugar like you normally would if you're making it on
we're just gonna throw it all together and mix it all up. And because the bread's in there, it's hard to go wrong really. The bread's just gonna hold it all together, and so long as everything's mixed around fairly evenly once I've got this. Some golden syrup in there as well.
So is that just for a different flavour, or does that do anything in particular?
That's nothing in particular, we just want that golden syrup flavour, yeah. So I will whisk all that together now.
Yep.
Right, so we've got our custard ready to go there, Ben. What I'm just gonna do next is take a little bit of cinnamon. And I think we'll be putting about a couple of teaspoons in there, say.
So could you, no, I was going to say, could you throw a whole stick in there, but you probably couldn't, could you? Because you'd
No,
have
I
to
think
fish it out of the
I think it's probably better with the ground stuff in this particular one, yeah. All right, so we'll give that a little bit of whisk and get that in there too. And then I've got some sultanas and some poached quince here, and they're going to go into our custard as well.
How long did you poach the quince for?
These quince would have been going for a few hours, and that's how they've ended up with this beautiful deep red colour.
It's one of those amazing fruits. It takes forever to cook and completely changes colour when it cooks.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, so this is poached in a sugar syrup, and this would have a few spices in there as well, and this would have been on the stove for a few hours, and basically when we get this really beautiful deep red colour, we know it's ready to go. So I'm just going to grab a couple of those and just sort of break those up in there as well.
It's an underutilised fruit, I think.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Because it's so hard, people don't really know what to do with it, and it's inedible really unless you poach it.
Yeah.
So like Johnny said, just throw it into a pot with some spices, some sugar, some water, and then it becomes this beautiful, soft, gorgeous, luscious fruit.
Yeah.
And the syrup is insanely good at the end.
And this, we do it in big batches and we'll keep it in the refrigerator, but this could also be put in a jar and kept for, kept for a year, and it only gets better really.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got our custard with our spice and fruit there.
And that's the quinces he's talking about, not the custard, because it will go off.
Yeah, no, we don't want to keep the custard for too long. Okay, so I've got our rye bread here, and what I'm going to do is just chop that up into some nice little pieces. Not going to bother taking the crust off, it's just going to add to the different textures throughout the pudding.
So rye bread, using rye bread just because it was the loaf that was left over, or is because after the denseness or the flavour?
Well,
you do it with sourdough.
You could do this with any bread and it'd be equally as delicious, but rye bread pudding is a traditional Scandinavian winter thing. So I'm just going to chop this into a pretty rough dice. Well, it's not quite a dice, but it's important to get it into some nice small pieces though, because it's going to help the custard soak in, and also when there's more surface area like this, when it bakes, we're going to get nice crispy,
that's the best
caramelised, delicious bits on top.
It's like the best bit of a lasagna is the edges.
Exactly. So we want to make more edges, as many edges as possible. So we've got our rye bread in there with the custard, and we just want to let that soak in for 15-20 minutes and make sure that's all nice and combined. All we've got to do after that is put this into our tray, bake it in a relatively hot oven.
So do you use any sugar or anything to help that caramelisation on top?
Yep, we're going to take a bit of clarified butter, spread a bit of that on top of the bread, and some nice chunky raw sugar here as well. We'll put that on top, and that's going to just add to that beautiful texture on top.
So oven temperature is? 180. For, what do you say, 20, 25?
Yeah, about 25 minutes I'd say.
Johnny, I don't know if that's how it's meant to look, but it looks bloody good.
Pretty rustic looking thing, isn't it? But it's tasty. We've got those really nice, crispy, crunchy, tasty caramelised bits on top, but also a nice, soft, squidgy, delicious custard underneath.
You said that. You said it was about creating as many crunchy bits as possible.
Exactly.
And I think we've done that.
Yeah.
So far you've got a tick.
Crunchy
I need
good.
to eat it first before I can give you the full marks.
Well, let's get into it then. See how it looks. Nice custardy bits underneath. beautiful chunks of quince and sultanas through there. So over here we've got creme fraiche chantilly. So this is basically 50% normal cream and 50% creme fraiche. Just put a bit of icing sugar in there and whisk it up. We'll be fairly generous with our cream there.
Yeah.
We've got a little bit of extra poached quince on the side here, so we'll get that on as well.
This is a great dish.
Good hearty winter dessert.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And I've been
What
finding.
are these?
So what we've got here is.
Look like, remember when you were a young tack when you go to school and they give you like the fruit scraps?
It's a bit like
roll-ups?
It's a bit like a quince roll up.
Yeah.
So because we've poached the quinces in a sugar syrup, what I've done is I've taken that syrup and I've set that with a bit of agar jelly, and I've got a really firm jelly from that, and then I've blitzed that up, and that's going to give us this really nice soft gel that we can also garnish this with.
Oh, nice.
So that's just going to add a few different textures. And also, I've blitzed up a few of those poached quinces and just spread that quince puree out on a tray and dried that out slowly. So we've got some more crunchy bits there from our quince, and that's a pretty hearty dessert. But
You've taken a pretty basic bread and butter pudding and made it look all right.
well,
Jeez.
that almost might be for two to share, I reckon, that one. But
I just want to look at it for a little bit longer. That is a very, very pretty dessert that you've created out of something that was very, very rustic. So well done. You get full marks from me. I know it's going to eat well. Thank you so much for having us.
my absolute pleasure.
And
Thanks
I'm
for
making
coming
that
in.
one at home. My wife is going to love that.
Great. Cheers, mate.